Well, we were woken this morning to a cracking thunderstorm. Actually rained quite heavy as well, so everything's a little bit damp. To that end, we've set up our new kitchen wall in the awning. First time we've had to use it in anger. Set it up there just to keep the driving rain off the cooker. Working quite well. Most impressed, doing exactly what we designed it for. So a bit of a slow start. It poured rain, thunderstorm just cracking around our ears. As a result, we probably a little bit tardy getting out of bed this morning. Fantastic, a mountain thunderstorm. You know, when you've got no threat to your safety or to your setup, you're just secure, comfortable. They're awesome. Different story, I suppose, if you're exposed and challenged by it, but in this case, it was awesome. Fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So a bit of a slow start. We've got to have some breakfast, a cup of tea or two, packed down. Always takes a bit longer when things are wet. Anyway, we're going to head out from Bindaree. We're kicking off this leg of the journey from Bindaree Flat here, Bindaree Hut. We're going to head up ultimately to Mount Sterling, Clear Hills, Craig's Hut. Have a look at Bindaree Falls on the way. We'll suss it out on the way, but I think the plan is to have a look at Monument Track. Not sure how this weather affects Monument Track and local access, but anyway, we'll poke along gently and see what we find, and then explore a few huts up in the Mount Sterling circuit area. Not sure where we'll end up tonight. Prefer probably on a river rather than up high tonight. Just gives us a chance to sort of take a bit of refuge if some of these storms keep rolling around. Anyway, we're not sure where we'll end up, but wherever it is, come along with us. Brekkie wrap, bacon, egg, chorizo, mushroom, special barbecue sauce. We're just poking up the little walking track. It's about 400 metres round trip by all accounts to Bindaree Falls. Keep wandering up, there's probably a viewing platform or something we can get in closer to it. How's this? We're behind the waterfall, Bindaree Falls. Lucky it's raining today and we've got our coats on. It's getting quite wet here. Bit of water coming over it. I'm not sure if it's had a bit of extra flow as a result of last night's thunderstorm, or whether this is normal. Whatever it is, it's pretty spectacular. This is a beautiful bit of bush. It's almost rainforest. Huge tree ferns down there, lush, south facing. You don't see much sun. Certainly doesn't appear to have been cooked by bushfire, which is a bit unique these days. This is beautiful, just fantastic. Nice little walking track, well maintained. Now this is a cracker spot. Very popular, a lot of people come here. It's easy access, and I certainly rate it. come up Bindaree Road, hit the Stirling Circuit Road, effectively gone straight across that. We're starting to climb up the Monument track, the intention of getting up to Clear Hills. So they say this is a bit steep, this track, maybe steep and rocky. So we'll see. There's been a fair bit of rain overnight this morning, so I'm not real sure what that means for this track. Anyway, we're just going to poke along slowly, feel our way. So what I've done here, just to get a feel for the track first, I've just selected low range. I'm in third gear and I've got the centre diff lock on. So that combination seems to be a pretty good mix for this particular track. It's not overly steep so far. Third gear seems to be able to handle it comfortably. Still got another whole range to go yet if need be. IVECO Daily is right at home in this terrain, with plenty of ground clearance, exceptionally low gearing, twin diff locks if needed, and aggressive Federal Explorer rugged terrain tyres provide ample traction on the slippery surfaces. I find the truck is most comfortable and capable if we simply plod along. It's easier on the truck and easier on us. The last thing we want in conditions and terrain like this is a mishap, either mechanical or technical. We do have a persistent front end clunk when ascending, and most of the weight is over the back axle. We've yet to diagnose the source of this annoying clunk, despite way too much time lying under the truck pondering the options. just been over and poking around in Craig's Hut. It's a recently iconic hut of the high country, built for the Man from Snowy River movie in about 1981, I think it was. Anyway, the crowds rolled in, as did the clouds actually. Anyway, so we've just ducked over the back. We're back on the Clear Hills track heading towards Mount Sterling. We're only 300-400 metres from the car park for Craig's Hut. And there's a series of these cracking little campsites just nestled in the snow gums. Only beautiful, particularly on a day like today where you've got this misty cloud rolling through. It's fantastic. So we've just pulled up. We've got lunch getting prepared over there, and probably have half a cup, and from here we're going to head across Clear Hills track back towards Mount Sterling, I think, and check out a few huts over there. Heading from Craig's Hut, we've gone across the monument, and then we're heading across towards Mount Sterling, and ups and downs, and freshly worked track. It's in very good condition. As a result, it's a bit breezy and it is raining. A couple of little kick-ups are quite steep and certainly test out the traction. On there we just had to throw the rear diff lock in. Probably could have put the front in, which would have made it even better, but of course you lose a bit of the steering when you've got the front diff lock in, so I sort of err on the side of if we got enough traction without it or not. In hindsight, we probably should have had it in. Bit of mud slinging. Might just pull over here and go for a little hut just over there. Have a look, Geelong Grammar School Hut, I think. This is Geelong Grammar School Hut, on pretty much on the summit of Mount Sterling. The summit's just out the back here, 100 metres. Just right on the edge of the tree line by the looks of things. It's in very good condition, obviously well maintained by Geelong Grammar. Timber top, I suspect. Awesome big sort of open fireplace there, no doubt for doing a bit of cooking on. A little pot belly stove here. They can get quite toasty and warm in here. Good supply of wood. Quite a different ilk to the other huts that we visited that had a heritage based on cattle grazing and maybe timber harvesting, that sort of use industry, you might say, whereas this is very much an education focus. And I feel like the hut represents far more than just a refuge and accommodation. I think it actually represents a lifestyle. A lot of people that pass through these programs have a awesome ability to engage with the outdoors and understand the outdoors, and it's just a fantastic grounding. It's all about building resilience, and we all have our meltdowns, I suppose, but having exposure to these opportunities as a school group coming up here and spending a week, I suppose, I don't know how long they spend here, but you can imagine they do, all packed in, horrendous weather, blowing, snow's probably up halfway up the windows, and I've got to venture out just to take a pee. No doubt the kids get fat in the gills before they want to bloody brave the elements and go out. It represents so much more than just a hut and accommodation or a hut in a high country. It represents a lifestyle, I think. Very fortunate, those that are able to go through these sorts of programs and get that exposure early in life. I'm preaching a little bit to the lads. It's hard to imagine having, what you count, 15 pigeonholes?
15 kids, 5 staff.
There's another 5 staff, so 20 people wedged in. There's a leak over the back there. Whose bed's that one? It's probably one of the teachers too, or the naughty kid. Oh, it'll be cosy. Bit of smoke filtering through the hut, your eyes will be stinging. There's a loft upstairs here. And obviously all their sleeping accommodations upstairs, side by side, just strewn out over there, packed in like sardines. And 4 singles downstairs. I wonder who the teacher is that draws the short straw that's got a camp upstairs. They probably put their tent up outside. Geelong Grammar School hut. Actually camped in here many years ago, ski touring up here on Mount Sterling. First time I ever come up here to Mount Sterling. Multi-day overnight ski tour. We crammed in the hut, but it wasn't with school students, it was with other punters on the weekend in clement weather. Fantastic. This is cool, 1,720 metres above sea level, the summit of Mount Sterling. That's getting up there from Victoria. And it's certainly a very accessible summit. The summit of that elevation, it's not necessarily all that easy elsewhere to get to. Anyway, 1,720. Over the back here. Yeah! 2 thumbs up. Woo! It's almost like we're driving into the night. 3 o'clock, but some nasty weather coming through by the feel of it. It's getting darker and darker, and the forest is closing in on us. That feeling it's going to pour rain. We're just making our way down off Mount Sterling towards Howcliffe Gap, and it's just an awesome little track, winds and weaves, and tight in many ways. Not too slippery, which is fortunate. Our GPS has had a bit of a meltdown. It doesn't know where we are. The HEMA and the built-in navigator. Obviously can't get any signal. I haven't had that happen to me before. It's almost, what is it, 3 o'clock? No, it's not even 3. 10 to 3 and it's dark. Need my driving lights on. Pauper Gap huts. There's a couple here, this older version and a newer incarnation across the way. It's a bit hard to see, I haven't got a light anymore to show the insides, I've lost it recently up on Bluff Hut, so I've lost my good light. And it's as dark as Hades outside at the moment. It's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's 100% of heavy rain, and it's living up to the forecast, which is possibly a bit unusual. And this old donger is, well, we've seen better days, but it would certainly keep you out of the weather in a storm, which it happens to be doing right now. King Saddle Hut, which is interesting. Refuge, day visitor, picnic area if you like. I think what's most impressive about this part of the world is the mountain ash. The trees are just fantastic. Heaps of them, straight as a die. Fantastic. Bit of a rare sight these days. King Saddle Hut, or day shelter, is an octagonal construction open on one sector. Fashioned from local mountain timbers, it hosts a sizable combustion wood heater and a couple of picnic benches and seats. The primary use of the hut is as a refuge for the hordes of cross-country skiers that frequent this area during the depth of winter. We've had to hunker down a little bit tonight. It hasn't eased up raining all afternoon since about 3 o'clock. It really settled in and come in pretty hard actually, about 3, turned day into night. It's eased off a little bit now in terms of intensity, but still pretty wet. So we're going full gas mode tonight. It's not cold, so we thought, well, we can cook on the gas. Don't need to light the fire just for the sake of it. If it gets cold, we always can. So we've set up the whole awning and our new sidewall. It's made a big difference, keeps any draft out. The lad set his swag up underneath the back there. It's pretty protected as well. And this is a good configuration. We've still got another wall if we wanted to put on. We could put it on either the front or the back. That's why we built these extra walls for these occasions. This is a great spot though. We're down at Razorback Huts. We'll have a look at them later on, maybe even tomorrow when it winds up a bit. They're out the back here. The old timers have set up shop in there for the night. A bit wet last night apparently, so they're trying to dry out. It is a long weekend now, so I expect to see some crowds turning up at some stage. We're going to only do the single night here, wander on tomorrow. That's the plan anyway. This is clearly a popular spot for the horsies. Good set of yards there. There's actually a couple of horses and riders over the back there camped. They've set up their own portable yards, but by all accounts you get some fair groups coming through here, and our Razorback Huts seem to be set up a bit of a dormitory style accommodation for these big groups that come through. Not sure how that all works, whether they book them or first come first serve, not sure. But what is most impressive about this place is the setting. It's nestled in amongst these woolly butts, and they're fantastic. It's great to get in these stands of trees. I suspect this is actually all regen. They're not that big in terms of girth, but they've survived fire and looking good nick. That's really lush, this part of the world. You probably get that feeling when it's so wet, like today. Adds to the ambience, I guess. Great forests on this Stirling Circuit Road.
I don't know what I'm to do. I just miss you more than anything. It's way too quiet in the house. I'm just wasted on the couch, 'cause I don't wanna feel anything. Wish you'd stayed here beside me. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Wish you'd stayed here right with me. I can't shake that feeling that we said goodbye too soon. I know the hour's getting late. I shouldn't sit here contemplating. I just can't stop thinking about us. I won't forget a single thing, from drunken nights to Sunday mornings, and how you smile at me. Wish you'd stayed here beside me. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Wish you'd stayed here right with me. I can't shake that feeling that we said goodbye too soon. How it's supposed to be. Wish you'd stayed here right with me. I can't shake that feeling that we said goodbye too soon.
Time to dry out. Wow, that was a wild 12 hours. 15 hours. 18 hours, whatever. About 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, it came in as dark as Hades. We're coming off the back of Mount Sterling down the Howqua Gap track, and it just turned to dark, turned to night. So something's coming, and then it opened up. Bang! Poured. So this is the aftermath. We're just trying to take stock of everything. Trying to start drying a few things out. There's a bit of a breeze around, so that should help. Last night we sort of, tail between our legs, went and ducked over into the Razorback Hut there. A couple of welcoming fellas there. Steve and Jace opened the door and let us in. They made us most welcome. We came bearing gifts, a bit of firewood. They had a good fire going there, keep them warm and dry, so we joined them for a little while, boiled the billy, swapped a few yarns. Keen fellas out and about. It was awesome. Good to meet you fellas. That's what these huts are all about, isn't it? Providing a refuge and a bit of a safe place, somewhere to get out of the weather and a bit of respite. We certainly appreciated it, because it was getting a bit ordinary sitting here under our awning. It's too wet for a fire. It wasn't particularly cold, admittedly, but yeah, just miserable wet. So, new day, new dawn. Not sure what we're going to be doing yet, but first things first, cup of tea. The lad actually got one in bed, spoilt rotten the bugger. A little bit of collateral damage, not too much I don't think, but a couple of bloody good sticks fell out of one of these woolly butts and landed on the roof of the truck last night. Sort of 2-inch round logs, pulpy sort of things. Just a reminder that, you know, these things happen, and look up. Camping around here, you're a bit limited to keep away from it. That's no excuse, I guess. You've got to be as safe as possible. And in hindsight, we had a look over the tree straight up above the car this morning. The tree directly behind us is riddled with big dead branches. You know, in the heat of the battle last night when we pulled up here, it was pouring rain, it was miserable, it was just wanted to get set up. There's not a lot of flat country, so you sort of can't be too choosy. And then, yeah, in hindsight, there's a big tree directly above us. It's got a few nasties in it. Well, here we go again. We just packed up our camp at Razorback Hut. It's a great little spot amongst the mountain ash. Very weathery. Very wet. Anyway, today's a new day. It feels like the sun wants to come out. There's a bit of a breeze around, so it's starting to dry things out this morning. Plans for today are, not real sure, but to start with, we're heading along this number 3 track road, number 3 road, out towards number 3 hut, Tomahawk Hut. It's all a bit of new country for us out there, I think. And we might end up back on the King River somewhere tonight. Might be standing room only, it's a long weekend. Not sure how it all works around these parts, but that's what we're here to do, is check it all out. Learn the lie of the land, bit of new country. We've got some great views. Clouds lifted a bit, some great views out here to Mount Cobbler. The original plan was to head out that way, but I think the clock's going to beat us somehow. Anyway, come along, we'll see where we get to. The Mansfield Nordic Ski Club's request to build the original hut started in 1981, and finally in 1985 they were granted permission with strict conditions that it be a public refuge hut to be left unlocked. It should not contain facilities that would encourage people to camp at or stay overnight. The hut should not exceed the dimensions of 4 metres by 5 metres, and it should be built in a way that would permit it to be relocated if necessary. The original hut was built near the intersection of Mount Number 3 Road and Weston's Track at about 1500 metres above sea level. It was built of vertical weatherboards and had an iron roof and veranda. Some of the construction items came from the mess hall at the old forestry mill in Mirambar. Unfortunately, this hut was burnt down in December 2006 by bushfires. In response to community suggestion, the new number 3 Refuge Hut, rebuilt in 2008, was built 1.5 kilometres south of the original number 3 hut site. It was built by members of the North Eastern Trail Horse Riding Club, who volunteered their time and skills in the design and construction of the new Mount Number 3 Refuge Hut, with the DSC acknowledging the members' commitment and professionalism to the project with a plaque inside the hut. We're on the top of mountain number 3. It's about 1600 metres above sea level. We just pulled up here for a very late brew. It's a slow start this morning. It's a bit of alpine grazing going on there. Despite what we'd hear in the media, there is no such thing. Not sure how that works, but anyway, there's plenty of grazing going on up here. State Forest. This is awesome. We're up in the snow gums, 1600 metres or thereabouts, maybe just shy of that. Big crew turned up there just before, horse riders, like a tour group. Looked like they were having a bit of fun. Great day for it, great country for it. We've been most impressed with what's on offer over this part of the world, the northeast, out of Mansfield up into the high country there. There's no end of opportunity to explore, and tracks and horse riding, bike riding, walking. Just walking, there's tracks everywhere. Single trail. Most impressed. Great country, up high, extensive areas to explore. great spots to have half a couple. We rate it. Tomahawk Hut. That's a, well, hey, it's little, but it's classic, I'm going to say. It's actually been built with round posts, poles, and I suspect it's all mountain ash, dead straight, locally sourced. It's a whole hut apart from the door and the window. I reckon it's all been built out of locally one material. The big mantelpiece. Wooden floorboards. They've probably been off to the mill to get off to the sawmill to get milled up, but come back back into the forest. Built by Arthur Dale, who was the first forest officer in the Mansfield district in about 1927. There's no shortage of huts around this part of the world that seem to have his influence over the construction. By all accounts, he travelled widely around the patch and established this network of huts so he could go from hut to hut, I suppose, and do his job. Didn't have to be particularly salubrious, just had to serve a purpose, to which this no doubt did. Classic log construction, tin roof, little skylight, and I suspect that's been put in more recent times. Open fire. It's actually got a steel lining in it, so that would have reflected a bit of the heat back in. Bit of brickwork out the back, veranda out the front, and an old rocking chair. I always liked the mantelpieces of these old huts. They've been cut out of a great big log, nice big slab. About 3 inches thick, that one. Interesting, it's not burnt, whether it's been replaced or there is a sheet of tin under it, so maybe that's enough to protect it. Tomahawk Hut. So we left Tomahawk Hut. To eat there, bit of lunch, made our way back up Carter's Road, and I think some maps, that last bit call it Carter's Extension, I think. Anyway, Carter's Road. Now we've turned on to Western Track, and plan is to make our way down to the King River, somewhere around Pineapple Flat, I think. All new country, so we're just following our nose and following the HEMA, seeing where we end up. It certainly feels like the path less travelled, this Westerns. Till now it's been logging roads.
Yeah.
This is definitely getting into full drive track territory. I just stumbled across this place. We weren't really expecting it. There is a hut marked on the maps, Purcell's Hut I think it's called. And there's a bit of signage around here saying it's a hut used for the cattle mustering. Well, I think it said the McCormick family, and they have a series of trail rides and things by the looks of it that they run through this country. We might have seen them actually up the top on number 3. Mount number 3. There's a crew up there, McCormick's Trail Rides, and all their trailers and things well set up, and this is possibly connected to them. It's a bit of a 3-sided donga, and it's got all the gear you probably need. Be a great spot if you're on a trail ride and looking for a bit of refuge on an inclement day, or all day with your bum in the saddle. And no doubt when they're mustering the cattle, there seems to be quite an extensive grazing license. We certainly passed some stock further back, so hats off to them for allowing people to camp here. There's a few signs about, looking after it, and don't throw all your shit in the fire, take it home with you, and they've posted up dates when they will be here doing their mustering and trail ride activities. That's quite an extensive area. There's yards and a bit of shedding around, no doubt, to store their fodder and whatever for their activities. It's good to know these places are around, and if you're in the area and need to take refuge, you can. A few creeks here, might be on a bit of a junction, certainly a creek just as you come into the flat here that the hut's positioned on. Across a creek, plenty of water, been some big timber cut down in its day, the remnants of some huge timber. Would appear to be a bit of a makeshift reticulated water supply, probably a water ram, poly pipe up the creek feeding some header tanks and things. A bit of a donkey over there, fire up for a bit of hot water, and got all the gear, quite salubrious. I was most impressed by the size of some of the logs here being felled, a bit pulpy, rotting up the guts, trying to keep the place safe, I suppose. Well, we're up for a bit of an adventure. We decided we'd camp at this place. We've never been here before, Pineapple Flat, and it's Australia Day long weekend, so it's going to be a pretty sure thing that we weren't on our own, and we're right, we're not on our own. Anyway, we wanted somewhere early to pull up. Well, there's still a bit of sun out as we're that wet after 12 hours of constant downpour that we just needed a bit of sunshine, a bit of breeze to start drying a few things out, particularly the swag and associated bedding. Anyway, it's all good, the sun's out, guns are out, Might have a roast for tea tonight. Why not? We've got plenty of time. Just chilling out Australia Day. Thought about having lamb chops, but we've got plenty of time for a roast. That's as Aussie as it gets anyway.
Hut's got like stone chimney.
I think we're actually going to go multicultural. So we've got Greek, lamb. Smell it already. So we've got our Greek style lamb on the wrap, obviously. Bit of fresh spinach, bit of homegrown green stuff.
Spring onion.
Spring onion, and then plenty of that, as it's the hero ingredient after the meat. And then some red stuff, in this case tomato. This is going to be to die for. And then the next hero ingredient, bit of tzatziki. How do you say it? Tzatziki.
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 And then it's going to burst all over our lap. Oh, it smells good. And we'll go like this, and like this. How good's that, eh? That fit for a king.
Oh.
Today we find ourselves travelling the length of King Basin Road. In actual fact, it is a typical high country track, traversing the King River with multiple crossings, the occasional mud hole, but in essence it's the epitome of a classic high country track. Winding our way along the valley floor, each crossing has an open grassy flat, perfect for establishing camp. And given it is a long weekend, each one of those prime campsites is occupied by long weekend revellers. And half their luck too, as the weather has turned it on. Quite the contrast from a day or two ago. Of course, the approach and departure at each of the crossings has been impacted by the ever-changing course of the river. The exposed river gravels and cobbles required deliberate wheel placement and certainly give our suspension seats a workout, but we're certainly grateful for them. We could easily have pulled up stumps at any of the crossings and made ourselves comfortable. That, however, is going to have to wait. Our high country adventure is drawing to a close. We're still on the wrong side of the range. One thing's for sure, we'll be back. While we have some awesome sights on the southern fall of the Great Dividing Range, we're finding there's so much more for us to explore in the north.
Got shoes on. G'day, how are you? Morning.
The original King Hut was built by Jim Hearn, about 70 metres north of the current location. By the 1940s, the hut was a bit tired and needed some attention. By the mid-1950s, a much larger two-room hut of weatherboard construction had been built by cattlemen to replace the dilapidated slab hut. The weatherboard hut was constructed by George Robinson for Fred Ross and other cattlemen in 1957. Unfortunately, in 2008, this hut burnt down by fault of some careless users. A rebuild took 2 years to plan and was a cooperative effort between the High Country Huts Association and Parks Victoria. Over Easter 2011, some 14 volunteers and Parks Victoria staff effectively completed the build. This new hut is completely insulated and sits on the same footprint as the old hut. This new hut stands testament to the vision and efforts of many that recognise the value of well-maintained and accessible huts spread across the high country to provide important refuge and help keep us alive when conditions or circumstances become dire.
So this morning we've just been wandering along the King Basin track from Pineapple Flat to King Hut. It was a great little drive, certainly not the first to do it. Bit of a popular track. Yeah, it's awesome, just meanders along the river, crosses the creek river half a dozen times, and culminates in a nice grassy campsite at King Hut. A few people around, being a long weekend. Certainly not packed there by any means. So from here we're just going to head back up onto the circuit road, and not sure where we're going to end up, but we'll poke along and keep exploring.
Well, that's us done. Clear Hills and Craig's Hut, a few iconic sites there, and some good tracks actually, up and over Mount Sterling and the Monument Track, and then out over Mount Number 3 and down into the King River. Awesome, great camping. We had some pretty ordinary weather at times. We had some awesome weather as well. It's no use being fair weather campers, although at the time you do question the merit of being out there in those conditions. Makes us more resilient and helps us set ourselves up for when those times are inclement and maybe they endure. Anyways, we're going to wrap it up there. It's been awesome, 4, 5 days, 6 days, whatever it is. We've still got a day or so to go before we get home, but we'll just poke along slowly. For all intensive purposes, we'll park it up here. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy this one. It's probably a long video, this one. Thanks for watching, appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Give us a thumbs up, that'd be awesome. Hit the notification bell so you get a heads up when the next video is coming out. Give us a comment down in the comments section, what you think, what your thoughts are. Share amongst your networks too if you can. It helps get our emerging channel out there, and we appreciate that. So anyway, thanks for watching, appreciate it. Look after yourself. See you next time.